Happy Thursday evening to you. Welcome into the UDDA Winner podcast. Dan Black, joined with me as always is SportyJordy, a newly minted 24-year-old sport. Right, 24? Right?
Yep, 24.
Yeah, 24. 24 years old. Her birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday to her. And we have a special guest, a longtime friend of mine from my college days. He is currently at ESPN in Louisville, ESPN Radio in Louisville. Jack Grossman. How we doing, Jack?
I am doing fantastic. It's the best time of year, baby. The Final Four. Nothing is bad. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Looking forward
to it. Of course. In just a few days, we get to listen to One Shining Moment, and just can't wait for it. So we have plenty of March Madness stuff to talk about. Also some baseball stuff, as Jack's a huge baseball guy as well. And with opening day coming up in just a week. But we gotta start with, the reaction since you're in Kentucky. The reaction from the state of Kentucky. I'm sure your radio station was. I'm sure it wasn't a tough week to find content after the St. Peter's loss to Kentucky. So just give us from a Kentuckian. Is that what people?
Kentuckian, yes, Kentuckian, Rebellion,
from the Kentuckian. Yes. From the Kentuckian point of view, what that was like afterwards.
All right, so for those who don't know, obviously everyone knows Kentucky lost to St. Peter's, but Louisville, which obviously everything in Louisville, Kentucky is revolved around U of L and UK. Like, those are the pro teams. That's what everyone goes nuts about every day of every year. That's what it goes. But the day after Kentucky lost to St. Peter's was the day that Louisville introduced Kenny Payne to be the new men's basketball head coach. So if you think about a day of content that we had at that station between those two things, and it was the first time in months, really, ever since Louisville beat Kentucky last season in basketball, that Louisville fans had anything to actually celebrate over Kentucky fans because they had the new head coach that everyone was excited about. Kentucky just lost to a 15 seed, but BBN, well, focusing on them, but BBN is still not over it. Like, they are pitchforks, torches, ready to ram the Calipari mansion. So the show I produce, the Take with Andy Sweeney, 3 to 6 p.m. Daily, ESPN 680, shameless plug. I'm sorry, but
there you go.
So one of the two, so one of the two hosts on the show, James Streeple, is an incredibly huge Kentucky fan, and we're sitting here now recording this March 31st, so this is 3 weeks to the day. On the show, like 2 hours ago, he was still ranting about how pissed he is at John Calipari in Kentucky for losing that game. And he is far from the minority. John Calipari didn't take calls for his last call-in radio show the week after the game ended.
Yeah.
Because he was on a recruiting trip for DJ Wagner, who's one of the top recruits in college basketball in 2023. But BBN went nuts over that. They wanted their chance to yell and scream at John Calipari. And you put it in perspective why Kentucky fans are so mad. Because this program, it's one, we keep calling it the Blue Blood Final Four. Kentucky's the Blue Bloods of all Blue Bloods. And this is a guy that grew up a Louisville fan and went to Indiana that's saying that. Like, there's not a better basketball program in the country than Kentucky. Kansas just passed them on the all-time wins, which that annoyed them. That Kansas during the tournament run surpassed them for all-time NCAA tournament wins, and Duke tied them for third most Final Fours of all time. If Carolina wins the tournament, then they're just one title behind Kentucky for second most all time. So Kentucky feels a little bit of slippage there, but more importantly, Kentucky's coming off a year last season in 2021 where they went 9-16 and they had the worst record UK basketball has had since the 1920s. And they followed that up with losing to St. Peter's, which ended a 30-game winning streak for Kentucky against double-digit seeds in the NCAA tournament, is easily the most embarrassing loss UK has had in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And they haven't been to a Final Four since 2015. That's an eternity for Kentucky fans.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot there that BBN is incredibly angry and frustrated at John Calipari about. And it's warranted, most of it, because they want to be the best. And quite frankly, having worst season in 80 years, or in a century, followed up by worst returning loss ever, that's not acceptable for them.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I came into this tournament and I was looking at every team, and obviously it's March Madness, so you can't really look at it from a realistic perspective. But I went into it and I was like, all right, the two best teams standing out to me are Kentucky and Kansas. I was like, that is who everyone should be afraid of in this tournament. Kansas has held up their end of the deal. Kentucky, who I had winning my entire bracket. Dan, I think you did too, right? Didn't we both
I
have
told
Kentucky?
you. Yeah, I was the advocate for him.
Yes. No, I was like so gung ho on Kentucky, and it was devastating. And I'm not even I have a soft spot for Kentucky just because they are one of the strongest college basketball programs. They're a staple. So I do love Kentucky. I respect Kentucky. I'm not necessarily a Kentucky fan, but like I still haven't gotten over the Kentucky loss 3 weeks later. And I'm like, how? And I did fall in love with St. Peter's, and I fell in love with that Cinderella story. But still, for Kentucky to go out in that way, it was heartbreaking.
Oh, the Peacocks beat Kentucky and Purdue. I was perfectly happy with them. But you look at Kentucky, and they had obviously Oscar Tshiebwe, who was the best player in college basketball this year and is winning every National Player of the Year award this season. But what really doomed them was because they, at a point, they were the best team in college basketball.
Yeah.
You bring up, Kansas, they punked them by 18 in Allen Fieldhouse.
Right.
Carolina, they beat by 29 back in December.
Yeah.
They had a stretch where they were playing better than literally anyone else. But then they had Ty Washington and Severe Wheeler, their starting backcourt, both get hurt. And when both those guys came back, they were just never able to really recapture what they had in late December and most of January. You look at Ty Washington. If his last 8 games before he sprained his ankle at Auburn, he was averaging 17 points per game. He was shooting 45% from 3. He was being the lottery pick that everyone thought he was going to be. He comes back from that injury, and he averages 9 points per game, 20% from 3-point range. That's just not the same guy.
Yeah.
You add in the fact that Kellen Grady that really had a terrible shooting drought during the late stages of the year as well. Wheeler was up and down. Keon Brooks, Jacob Toppin, you were never knowing what you were getting out of those guys. And you ended up with a team with Oscar Tshiebwe and 4 dudes that you really didn't feel like could actually stretch the floor and put the ball in the basket. And that's one of the reasons why they lost to St. Peter's. But really, what went wrong for Kentucky is that they just never figured out where to get back to where they were before they had those injuries to Ty Washington especially.
Definitely.
Right. And so I guess, we both went to IU together, and we were very used to irrational fans and everything.
Well, like Indiana is nothing on. They have nothing on BBN. And IU's crazy. Don't get me wrong, but they got nothing on BBN.
Right, and that's what I was about to get to. Is like, are there actually people that like want Calipari fired?
Oh yeah,
that's like a real thing.
There is something about which it's never going to happen because his buyout is reportedly $52 million. So that's definitely not going to happen. But yeah, no. There is a sizable portion of BBN that wants Calipari fired. And I probably wouldn't call it a majority, but there is as much
a
pressure.
Group of people,
Oh yeah. There is as much pressure on him to win big next year as you really see from any coach at a big time school or big time job in terms of he needs to win. If he doesn't win next year, again, this is where they're stuck though because they can't fire him. He has a lifetime contract.
Right.
So you just have you have a fan base that is incredibly unhappy, but you can't fire the guy because Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director, gave him a lifetime contract with a $52 million buyout. So it's a very interesting situation there to see how it unfolds over the next year or two. And the recruiting isn't as good as it's been. They're 24th in the country for the class of 2022 right now. Like that'll be the first time that they aren't a top 3 class ever in Calipari. And even before then, they haven't had the same types of classes where, early on they're bringing John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, so on. So you guys all know the names, but it's just not at that level that it used to be. And when Cal doesn't have the best players and the best talent, he's a Hall of Fame coach, but he needs the talent, and he just doesn't have it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. With the advancement of the the other major players, the Dukes, specifically the world, getting into the one and dones. After Calipari sort of started that thing, it definitely, he had a small window of that, and it quickly closed on him, it seems.
Yeah, you had a 5-year period, but from 2010 to 2015, where Kentucky was clearly the best program in college basketball. It was a similar run to what Villanova's been on 2016 since then. But after that 38-0 team, he hasn't been able to replicate it as much. You had one team with De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Bam Adebayo that went to the Elite Eight, lost on the Luke May buzzer beater, which was a fantastic game. But other than that, he just hasn't had. He's losing to teams like Kansas State in the Sweet 16, who was a 9 seed, or to obviously St. Peter's, or he lost to Indiana and Tom Crean in the second round back in 2016.
Can we talk about too how St. Peter's head coach is now going to be the head coach at Seton Hall?
Yeah, which that's what happens, when you have a deep tournament run like that. Your alma mater opens. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he wasn't the head coach, but wasn't he an assistant coach with Florida Gulf Coast when they went on their Miracle March Madness run? Wasn't he on that coaching staff?
I'll have to look that up, but he very well could be.
I saw something. So he was with them there. And then came to St. Peter's, took St. Peter's on this magical run. And Seton Hall obviously isn't one of the greatest, but he's just slowly working his way up. And I think it's so impressive.
Yeah, James Holloway, takes a New Jersey school to the Sweet 16. The last time a New Jersey school had been to the Sweet 16 was when he was a player at Seton Hall back in 2000. So, fun little circle moment there as well. But obviously, he did a fantastic job to be able to take a 15 seed to an Elite Eight, something that's ever been done. And he's part of 2 of the 3 teams to ever make it to the second weekend as a 15 seed.
Literally. He literally made history. They were the first 15 seed to ever break into the Elite Eight, which is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's sick. And he was also, I believe, the MVP of the All-American game the year Kobe.
Yeah, he was. He was.
I remember correctly.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Fun facts for you. But looking ahead to this weekend, our Final Four, you talked about Blue Bloods. Kentucky is obviously one of them, but we have the Blue Blood Final Four. I mean, we haven't seen this much talent in one Final Four ever. Will this go down as the greatest, Final Four that we've seen, or do we still have to, see what they put out on the floor?
Well, it depends on how. Oh, sorry. Go.
No, I was gonna say I literally think it comes down to this. Honestly, could go down as the greatest Final Four ever, just because the talent that's here. Yeah, but then the storylines off the court as well. To have Duke versus UNC. Final Four in Coach K's last season ever. You can't write anything better than that. So I just think there's so much else that plays into it. And then you have Villanova, who that's going to be a whole conversation because now they're dealing with injuries and everyone knew Villanova was good this season. Everyone didn't know if they were going to be a good tournament team. And then you have Kansas. It's the only 1 seed remaining. There's just so much that ties into making this so insane.
And when you look at first of all, it just depends on how good the games are, which only time will tell what that is. But you think of, the 2008 Final Four where you had all 4 1 seeds. You think of, obviously for me personally, the 2012 Final Four, which was ironically also in New Orleans, and Louisville, Kentucky played in the Final Four, which if you've ever written or taking a picture of the definition of insanity, it's just Louisville, Kentucky that week. You literally had people fighting in a dialysis center. About the game.
Dialysis?
Yes. Yeah, no, I promise you. Look this up. Just Google Louisville, Kentucky Dialysis Center, and you will find articles from CBS, ESPN, CNN about a fight that broke out while 2 people were hooked up to a dialysis center over the Louisville, Kentucky basketball game. That's what it is. But you look at that, I think you can go back to the 80s. You had some classic Final Four team about 1982 where you had Dean Smith's North Carolina team with Michael Jordan, James Worthy, Sam Perkins. You had Houston with Akeem Olajuwon, Georgetown with Patrick Ewing. They had a really good Louisville team as well. You look at the 85 year where you had 3 Big East teams in the Final Four, and Villanova upsets Georgetown in that classic. You can go back to 1979 with obviously Michigan State and Indiana State with the Magic Bird Final Four. So there's just I know it's a cop-out answer, but I'm not going to just sit here and say it's the greatest Final Four ever when we empty the games yet. It very well could end up being that. Obviously, you get Duke Carolina on the biggest stage that it's ever been in, and you have the Coach K element. I think you can get Duke and Kansas in the title game, which I think Carolina has a very real chance to beat Duke. But if you can really get Duke and Kansas in the title game, I think that could be an absolutely special game in terms of how well both of those teams are playing right now and just all the storylines that can go around there. And just, anytime you have, and I'll say this again about Louisville, Kentucky in 2012, Duke, Carolina now, anytime you get a rivalry as big as those two are, which those are the two biggest rivalries in the sport, I am in the minority in that the Louisville, Kentucky one is better, but anytime you get a rivalry, no, not at all. But anytime you get something to the caliber of those two rivalries in the Final Four, it has the chance to be really, really special.
So in terms of like how to look at things from a betting perspective, obviously we know Justin Moore is out for
which is disappointing. Like that's one of the things that could be holding it back. If Justin Moore's healthy, I mean, both these games could be absolute classics.
Right. Yeah. No. And that's really the disappointing part, especially obviously that he's injured, but especially the fact that he got injured with less than a minute to go in the game. It's just like, imagine if he just wasn't on the floor.
It's so
how this looks different right now. It's a 4.5-point spread. We'll see if it grows a little bit as we get closer to Saturday. Kansas is a heavy favorite, not unsurprisingly. So like how do you think it goes to bet this game? Is it realistic to think that Villanova could cover, or do you think it's just without Justin Moore, a team that already wasn't superb offensively is really just a defensive matchup, losing their second best scorer now? Colin Gillespie has to be Michael Jordan. He's not Michael Jordan. We know that much.
He's pretty damn good though.
He's great. He's from my hometown. I've been very aware of Colin Gillespie for a long time. But the facts are the facts. He's Ryan Arcidiacono 2.0 here. The tradition of the white Villanova point guard lives on forever.
Hey, Chris Arcidiacono's a redshirt freshman. He's coming up next. He's coming next.
Just a decade straight of it. But betting this game, I just can't see a way that Kansas doesn't just absolutely clobber them from a betting perspective.
I mean, that's where it's so disappointing that Justin Moore is hurt. I mean, obviously you want him to be well, and he's a great player and all that stuff. But you look at this game, you watch that second half between Kansas and Miami, and it was Showtime Lakers-esque. Obviously, I'm not calling them the Showtime Lakers, but in terms of just how they were able to get out in transition so often, push the pace, and really just, throw three-quarter court passes every possession. It looks like it was really incredible to watch them play in transition and just absolutely demolish a Miami team that we thought for 25 minutes could pull one of the greatest upsets in the history of the sport by beating a number 1 seed in the Elite Eight as a 10 seed. But you look at that and how effective they are when they get out and running. Then you look at Villanova, who is better than anyone else in the country at we are going to walk the ball up the court. We're going to be very slow and methodical. We're going to run our offense, run our sets. We're going to beat you one-on-one, off the dribble, isolation basketball. And they're so tough to defend when you do that because everyone on the floor can shoot. So Colin Gillespie can just sit there and back Remy Martin down for 20 seconds, and you can't help off of anyone because everyone on the floor can shoot. And Gillespie ends up with a layup because of that. It slows the pace down. It's like backbreaking to play against Villanova. I'm sure it's incredibly frustrating, but Villanova has the recipe to where they could beat Kansas if they had Justin Moore, but they don't. So with that, I just don't think they have enough firepower offensively to be able to score with the Jayhawks because you're not going to shut down Kansas the entire game. I know Ochai Agbaji, and they talked about this a lot on the broadcast with CBS on Sunday, but it's been something apparent all year with them. I mean, I remember looking back to the Kentucky game, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, freaking Kellen Grady guarding Ochai Agbaji. He should line him up. And Ochai just kind of stands in the corner for 40 minutes and does nothing. And he did that for large stretches of the game against Miami on Sunday. He can kind of take himself out of the game, not be assertive enough on the offensive end. But they have so many options. Remy Martin is finally playing like the guy that we thought he was going to be when he was the Pac-12 Player of the Year last year. Transfers over from Arizona State. You're getting enough out of David McCormick and Mitch Lightfoot. They were playing through Mitch Lightfoot at times in the half court on Sunday. Like, who the hell ever thought that was going to happen? Which Mitch Lightfoot is, my age. My first game, or his first college game, was against Indiana in Hawaii in 2015.
Right.
Like that's how long he has been there in Lawrence, Kansas, and almost Perry Ellis. But
yeah,
that's a long way of saying that if Justin Moore's healthy, I think it would be an absolute classic. I think Villanova will hang around for a while. They have the style to hang around for a while with Kansas, but at the end of the day, there's just too much from the Jayhawks. I think they do when they do cover that 4.5.
That's sort of been my feeling, is that this could be like a 58-50 game with like 8 minutes left, and then Kansas just goes on a 6-0 run, and that's sort of like the nail in the coffin type.
Yeah, because you look at the defense Kansas played last weekend.
The line is still at 4.5. I thought it would have.
Yeah, me too.
And I think there's still time, but 4.5 still seems very low to me. Like, I think that's an easy cover for Kansas.
I'm honestly surprised that I saw this a couple days ago. I'm not sure if it's changed, that North Carolina has worse odds to win the title than Villanova does, which is really bizarre to me. I get it, they're an 8 seed. I mean, I saw Carolina at plus 500, Villanova plus 475. But I'm sitting there thinking, without Justin Moore, no one thinks they're winning. Which if they do win this game and win the title, I mean, Jay Wright, who is already the best coach in the country, may just put himself in the coach game. John Wooden's stratosphere, he finds a way to win this one. But Carolina, with the way they're playing so incredibly well. And with Villanova being so short-handed, I would think that they would have better odds to win the title than the Wildcats. But that's just, I found that to be really surprising.
So I have a question for you, Jack.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't believe that Villanova will win. I don't believe that they'll, get to the championship or anything. But just to get this far, we think about the classic, blue bloods of today, right? You have Duke, UNC, Kansas, Kentucky, and Michigan State.
Michigan State's not blue blood.
But there are people that they are always in that.
Just because they're in the Champions Classic does not mean they're a blue blood.
But there's enough people that think they're a blue blood.
They're not. Not only are they not a blue blood, Dan, you have the blue blood tier, which is only no. But not only are they not a blue blood, you have the blue blood tier, which is for me just Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, and Kansas. Then you have, I think, UCLA is in their own tier, 5th. Then you have a tier of Villanova, Louisville, Indiana, and Connecticut. You can put those schools in any order. Then you have another gap. Then you have Michigan State.
So you wouldn't put Villanova in that tier. I don't know if you can put them up there yet with the Kansas and Kentucky and everything, but you can't even put them yet with like the UCLA of just based on how they performed over the past 5 years, 6 years. I guess.
Look, UCLA, or not UCLA, Villanova since 2016 has been the best program in the country, and Jay Wright has been the best coach in the country. And I don't think it's particularly close. And once Coach K retires, I think, Coach K and John Wooden are on their own tier of, in terms of like GOAT of college basketball coaching. Right. Jay Wright is the only guy that's active right now that can do enough to get into that tier, I would argue. That's how damn fantastic he is.
He's great.
Like I love watching. Yeah, it's fantastic. They're incredible. But you can't just look at right now in terms of who's a blue blood.
Right.
And yes, they won a title in '85 with Raleigh Massimino, and that's one of the greatest NCAA tournament games of all time. But Villanova's only been to 5, 6 Final Fours. Kentucky and Duke have been to 17.
Right.
UCLA's been to 18. Carolina's been to 21. Even if Villanova were to win the title this year, they'd have 4 titles. That would be half of what Kentucky has. That would be 2 less of what Carolina has. That'd be 1 less of what Duke has. And then you look at the fact that Carolina, Kentucky, and Kansas all have over 2,200 wins. And I couldn't even tell you where Villanova is on that list because they aren't. Yeah, they're not close. So for me, it has to do more with just
the longevity.
Yes. The recency matters, and the recency is why UCLA is not a blue blood and why Indiana is not a blue blood. but you have to have the combination of the recency and the longevity. So for me, that's the only thing that makes Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, and Kansas the 4 blue bloods.
All right, that's fair. The ultimate blue blood battle, the other side of the bracket. UNC, Duke. UNC has won me money, has won a lot of people money.
Nice.
As of late. Anyone who's smart, who knows that, who bets on the hairy Steph Curry of college basketball, that is Brady Manick.
Yes.
The GOAT. Right now, similar line in terms of money lines, almost the exact same spread at 4.5 as well for this one. Your thoughts betting this game?
All right, so I actually am not touching the spread on this game, even though I do think Duke wins the game. The thing that I really love in this game is the over-under. I love over, what is it now, 150, 151?
151.
Well, I love over 151 in this game. In terms of both past performances, I know it's a horse racing term, the PPs. we are revving up for Kentucky Derby season here in Louisville.
We're a month away.
But in terms of the past performances of when the two teams have met, and then just watching both of them, the over is a no-brainer in this game. The two totals of the first 2 times these two teams met were 154 in Chapel Hill, and then in Durham, I'm blanking on what it was because I calculated right before we started, but the final score was 94-81. So in the 175, that was the number. So a lot of points in that game.
Yeah.
So you have one game where it hits the over, then the other game where it just flies by the over. So to me, that's just a no-brainer. They're playing for a third time. Why wouldn't you bet the over when the total is lower than what they combined for the first 2 times they played? Then you just look at how the teams match up with each other. Yeah, Paulo Banchero. Who the hell's going to guard Paulo Banchero on Carolina? Brady Manick, as great as he's been, he can't guard you or me.
No.
Yeah, he can't guard us. He can't guard the trio of us. And then
he cannot.
And then if you put, Armando Bacot on him, 1, that risks foul trouble, and 2, you can't put Brady Manick on Mark Williams or Theo John. And you can't put Leaky Black, your best defender, on him because you can't have him guard Wendell Moore. So what Carolina did in the second game was they just doubled Banchero every time he touched the ball in the post. And Banchero did a really, really good job of passing out of those double teams to get wide open shots. Just Duke had a really poor shooting night that night, so they missed a bunch of them. And despite that, they scored 81 points.
Right.
And then you look on the other end, Brady Manick, as much as just crapped on him on the defensive side, has been such a game changer for North Carolina. Because when you have the guards playing as well as they have, plus Brady Manick, plus Armando Bacot, they're impossible to guard. Because, yes, Leaky Black can't shoot. As great as he's defensively, he's like the inverse of Manick. He can't shoot at all.
Right.
But Duke in the second game, and nobody in this NCAA tournament run outside of Baylor when they made that miracle comeback and almost won the game in the second round when Brady Manick should not have been ejected. No one has been able to stay in front of Carolina's guards.
Right.
So you have, the X factor, the equalizer in terms of Mark Williams and Theo John defensively being 2 of the best shot blockers in the country. However, if they're stepping up to cover Caleb Love or RJ Davis driving into the paint, that's going to leave Mark Williams open for a million lobs like we saw in the Texas Tech game. So you have to rotate someone over. If you rotate someone over, probably Paolo Banchero, who are you leaving open for 3? Brady Manick, who torched them for 5 threes in the most recent game in Cameron and has been fantastic from behind the 3-point arc in this tournament. Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to leave Leaky Black wide open and have him miss a bunch of jumpers and hope that that's how you're able to do it. But I look at it and I say, okay, Duke can't stop Carolina. Carolina has no way to stop Duke. Why would we even contemplate betting the under in this game? I'm sure it'll be a 55-50 game because I just went on for 5 minutes about why they're going to score million points in this game. And I'm sure Villanova will shock everyone and win it all because that's just how gambling works and that's why it's so fun. But there's no reason for this game to not hit the over when you look at both these teams.
That's fair. So your championship game is Kansas and
Duke. I do have Duke winning. Number one, because I can't see Coach K ending his career with a loss to Carolina in the Final Four.
I agree,
No.
especially after the debacle in Cameron.
Yeah, especially after that. So
that was so bad.
So I do have them winning, and they have more talent. They're the team with 5 first-round draft picks. Jeremy Roach was not playing like he is now during the game at Cameron, and that's allowed Wendell Moore to get back to his natural role of being more of a wing scorer. And Paolo Banchero should be the best player on the court. And I think that they have the matchup of Mark Williams and Theo John that's not going to shut down Armando Bacot, but can at least slow him down some.
Fair enough.
I think you can easily make the argument that UNC can come in and like if someone came up to me and was like, I'm taking UNC, I'd be like, valid. Like at this point, you don't know what's going to happen. But my gut is telling me basically what you said already. Coach K's last season, after the embarrassing loss that they had to UNC just a couple of weeks ago, that I can't see it happening where UNC is going to play spoiler twice for Coach K in his final season. Like they are going to do whatever it takes to win that game. And like you said already as well, they are on paper the much better team. And that's just a fact. So they have the talent to easily get it done. So I'm hoping that they can do it. And then I want to see Duke move on. And then whether they play Nova or Kansas, I think it's going to be a great game no matter what. I'm riding with you. I can easily see a Duke-Kansas championship. And I think that would be an incredible game, but we'll see. The nuttiest thing is this could easily be a UNC Nova championship, which is so nutty to me.
Great.
Yeah.
That'd be iconic in its own right.
If Justin Moore was healthy, it could definitely be a UNC Nova title game.
Yeah, I think
it's so crushing that he got it.
Bag, but we'll see.
All right. Coach K wins. Is he over John Wooden?
No. Just for me, 10 titles, 11 years. Nothing's ever going to top that. I get it. There were less teams. I get it that, Coach K's done it a longer time, and he now has one more Final Four than Wooden. But you can't that many titles. You can't mess with it. You can't.
It's very much the Bill Russell, anyone who thinks that Bill Russell is the GOAT is just like, if you think that, like, he's got 11 titles, like, you're not going to waver against that. So I
think it's different when it's a coach than a player.
That's 100%. But I mean, it's hard for me not to. I totally understand the Wooden idea, but again, like you said, less competitive teams, certainly. Also, just less teams in general. I feel like Coach K's had to evolve with much more over his career than John
for sure.
And I think that has to mean, something.
That's why he's clearly the number 2 greatest college basketball coach of all time. And there is a large gap between those two and everyone else. I will say this, the gap between Wooden and K is way, 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 way smaller than the gap between K and everyone else.
That's fair. That's understandable. Who do you think wins most outstanding player?
That's a tough one. That is.
Obviously we need to get to the championship.
Yeah, because I'm torn between Kansas and Duke. I think Remy Martin's a guy that's been just on fire for Kansas. He's had an absolutely fantastic. I think the point guards, both of them, Remy Martin and Jeremy Roach, are two guys. Everyone obviously looks at Ochai Agbaji, first-team All-American, and Paolo Banchero, possible number 1 pick in the draft, as, those will be the 2 guys to lead him, I think. But Jeremy Roach had the huge 3 against Michigan State to put him up for late in that game, was fantastic against Texas Tech. Texas Tech had the best defense in the country this season, whether you look at KenPom, Torvik, whatever metrics you want to look at. And Duke shot 71% from the field in the second half in that game. Incredible performance. And why was that? Because Jeremy Roach was able to beat his guy one-on-one over and over and over again, either score for himself or set someone else up. And he has been such a huge key for what Duke has done in this tournament run, kind of rediscovering themselves, where I think he's a guy that can win it. I mean, I know this is completely cop-out saying like 3 different guys. And then another guy is Mark Williams, who was fantastic at multiple points as well, and such he's the guy that can be such a game changer with his shot blocking. He's automatic at the rim. Duke's done a much better job of just getting him really easy looks around the basket, and a lot of that is, again, because Jeremy Roach is playing really well. Well, so I think one of those three guys, in addition to obviously the Banchero and the Ochai Agbaji. But if you're looking for someone off the board, I would take one of those three dudes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We shall see. Can't wait. Saturday night, all going down. Real quick before we let you go, opening day next Thursday. I want your futures picks. So I believe the Dodgers are getting to the World Series. I don't see anybody stepping in their way. I think Atlanta pulls back a bit. I still think they'll be good, but I don't think as good. And there's just no one really that's popping out to me that I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna. San Francisco, I think, definitely takes a step back. So I think it's the Dodgers and the White Sox. That's my guess.
I like it.
Who do you have?
Let's see. I'm with you on the Dodgers just because.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost in a tight series to the Braves in the NLCS, and then they signed the Braves' best player.
Right.
And, I mean, here's the thing. Here's what's unfair about the Dodgers. They had the most money. They're the most willing to spend of anyone. And on top of all of that, they have the best farm system in baseball.
Right.
I mean, like, how the hell are those three things allowed to happen?
They're
on the same team.
They're a forever dynasty.
Yeah, so I am going to pick the Dodgers to not only make but win the World Series literally every single year until those facts change, which I don't see changing anytime soon. I'm still waiting on that Yankees-Dodgers World Series because I think it is a disgrace that we haven't gotten to see one of those in our lifetime.
Could get that this year.
It's possible, but
I think the Yankees have a chance.
I've picked that like 3 years in a row, and I just can't do it again. With this group of Yankees. So I really like the White Sox also, but I'm gonna ride. The AL's so wide open. It's odd. It's much more wide open.
There's not one person in the AL that like completely like the Dodgers. It's like everyone can agree. It's like, the Dodgers are running this. But when you go to the AL, there's not one team in particular that's like, yes, they're taking it. It's going to be a Dodgers. Where it's not like NFL where it's like you go into the season, it's like, all right, it could easily be Bucks Chiefs, and no one would question it. Like now there's like not one specific team that's kind of running the show in the AL.
Because I think the White Sox are definitely in a spot where they're ready to take that next step. They have a great team, all that talent, but I don't know if I'm ready to pick a team that hasn't, won a playoff series to make the World Series. I'm looking at Houston, and they have the pitching issues, and Verlander got hurt last year, and he's old, and you have all that stuff. I guess I'll settle with Boston because you get Chris Sale for a full year, knock on wood that he stays healthy. You bring back most of that lineup. They won the AL East and stunned everybody last year to where I'll ride with Boston. And, they're willing to spend and be aggressive as well. They're one of the few teams that are actually able to do that. So, I'll take a little bit of a shot, I guess. The AL is so wide. I could definitely see the White Sox. I think they're the most talented team in the AL. And don't forget about Tampa Bay as well. But I'll lean Boston. So LA over Boston.
Nice.
LA over Boston.
Another classic.
The TV companies will love that.
Yeah.
They get that and Duke Carolina in 1 year. I mean, what are the Lakers and the Celtics doing? I mean, come on.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah. Literally. All right, real quick. Cy Young, who's winning it from each league?
I mean, DeGrom.
Yeah, literally.
I mean, the only question is, does he stay healthy? That's literally is the only question with Jacob DeGrom is, does he stay healthy? And then I'm going to go with the AL. Again, the NL is so much clearer to me than the AL about this Cy Young and the World Series. I'm going to go Lucas Giolito. He's such a great story. A couple years ago, he quite the worst ERA in baseball, and then the next year he's a Cy Young contender. To where that to me is insane. He's been so good. He's the only ace for the White Sox team who I expect to run away with the AL Central, which that and the NL Central are not good divisions in baseball this year. So he'll have the benefit of going up against some hitters that aren't the AL East or the AL West. You don't have to face those guys as much. to where, I'm going to take Giolito. You get really good value with him at plus 1,100. And, AL Cy Young's a good one to where you can take a shot at something there. And if it hits, you're going to get paid out pretty well.
Yeah, that's fair. All right,
like
and MVPs. Who's winning the MVPs? Do we see a Bryce Harper back-to-back?
I know you're rooting for it. I know you are.
He's our only hope of positivity.
Yeah, wait, I want your guys' opinions too. Do the Phillies at least make it into the postseason for the first time in a freaking decade this year?
I don't believe it.
Can we get one silver lining?
Here's the thing. They signed Cal Schwarber.
I don't like the sound of that.
They signed Cal Schwarber, who is my favorite modern baseball player. Other than Sammy Sosa is my favorite baseball player. Yes, I'm aware Sammy Sosa did steroids. Before we get on that I'm sorry. I was 3 years old. I couldn't help myself. But
that's fair.
But they signed Cal Schwarber and they signed Nick Castellanos. And there's a drive by Castellanos, and I'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to put this headset on again. But they made 2 really great signings there. Can Aaron Nola get back to the form he was at pre-COVID? And do they have enough pitching? I think they absolutely, the wild card spot. I know Dan doesn't think so. But are you guys both Phillies fans?
Yeah.
I know Dan is. Oh, nice. I'm a Cubs fan, which I'm sure is apparently clear right now, talking about Cal Schwarber and Nick Castellanos. But I think they can definitely make a wild card. I wouldn't pick them to go very far in the playoffs, but I think a wild card is, a reasonable goal for them.
I think just any postseason appearance from the Phillies at this point, I would be enthralled with. Like I would take anything.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
But in terms of MVP, I mean, the AL, I'm going to go Vlad just because Ohtani won it last year and Trout can't stay healthy. So I think I can see that. The NL, it's a flip for everything. I mean, Juan Soto is plus 280 and everyone else is plus 700 or higher, which is really weird. I did have a moment earlier today where I forgot that Tatis broke his wrist for a second. I was like, oh my God, plus 1,800, let's go. And then obviously he's going to miss the first chunk of the year. But I think Soto's in a great spot. Freddie Freeman going to a new club worries me a little bit. Same with Matt Olson going to the Braves. You just never know how guys are going to react when they go to a new place. I think Mookie Betts is in a really good spot for a bounce back year in terms of he really struggled last year. He wasn't the same guy he was in 2020. And obviously with the Red Sox back in 2019, he's not over the hill yet, right? I mean, so I think Mookie Betts at plus 900 is a really good one value. And like I said, I'm taking Vlad Jr.
Fair enough.
I like
Fair
it.
enough.
Seiya Suzuki to win the Rookie of the Year.
Okay. I like him. I think he's I will never bet on the Rookie of the Year for baseball just because
it's a terrible thing to bet on.
Impossible to know. It's the only sport where I just wouldn't bet on the Rookie of the Year and hockey. But
I will say Hunter Green making his
that's true.
His big league debut for the Reds in Atlanta this year. I think he's I know pitchers don't always win Rookie of the Year. It can trend more towards hitters, but he's a guy that, it has a monster season, can definitely win it.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of hype behind him too helps.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we will see. Can't wait. Opening day next Thursday. Final Four Saturday, National Championship Monday, just a big next 7 days in the sports world, and then a month until the Kentucky Derby. Who's going to win the Kentucky Derby?
All right, so I really like Epicenter right now. He won the Louisiana Derby last weekend. I had the exact on that, actually. I went to a casino in southern Indiana last weekend, and that really helped me because I hit a couple of basketball bets. I won about $50 on that, but the blackjack table was not kind to your boy last weekend. But, that's how it goes sometimes. But I really like Epicenter. He won the Louisiana Derby last weekend. There's a couple of really reps in Derby and the Florida Derby this Saturday. And then next weekend we get the Bluegrass Stakes in Lexington at Keeneland and the Santa Anita Derby out in California. So we are right in the middle of Derby prep season. Last weekend, this and next weekend, we are really going to figure out who is going to be the favorite or favorites for the Kentucky Derby.
All right. Well, I will definitely be texting you in the next couple of weeks to decide who I'm betting on for that.
Well, I mean, you can get my bet. I never get the Derby right. I mean, it's a tradition unlike any other. But I mean, it's a 20-horse. It's a 20-horse race. I mean, it's insane. Yeah, you never. It's a whole other spectacle.
That's fair. All right. Well, Jack, we appreciate you having coming on and spending this Thursday evening with us. Can't wait for all the games. Good luck on your betting. And, of course, make sure to follow us if you haven't already. Follow us on all our social medias and download the UDDA app. And we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.